Hey guys, welcome back to Cracks and Conversations. I'm Jen with 64 Leads, where we work with foundation repair companies to help them grow. This podcast is all about real conversations with people in the industry, what's working, what's not, and how we can all get better. So today we're talking with Strata Jack, a company that works behind the scenes to build peering systems, solutions that foundation repair contractors use and rely on every single day. So we have Bobby with us. Bobby, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting us. We look forward to it.
Awesome. So we really appreciate you being here. And I want to get started with you, Bobby. You're the founder of Strata Jack. Take us back to the beginning. How did it all get started?
I started out as a laborer in construction and went to carpenter apprentice school and then went to engineering school at night and worked for other people for, I don't know, about 5 years. Went in business myself when I was 22. General contracting business, and then about 20 years later, I decided to go into the foundation slash structural repair business. It's a good business, but it's very specialized, and it's very it is the foundation of it basically, with no pun intended, is built upon knowledge of foundations and soils. Mm-hmm. And people, whether they're commercial buildings or homeowners, residential buildings, usually a home is the largest investment that a person has. Mm-hmm. And so when you start seeing cracks in the walls, windows that are sticking, doors that are sticking, unlevel floors, those kind of things, it becomes a serious issue. Our market area is generally people above 35 or 40. Probably the most of those people would probably be in the 50 and up range, who've probably either got their homes paid for or either are close. And so when these problems show up at that age, nobody wants to think about dealing with a structural problem when they're 70 or 80 years old. You don't want to be involved in that because it's painting and carpentry and things like that's one thing, but when you begin to deal with the actual foundation, that becomes very difficult. It's not inexpensive at all, but it is something that you have to consider doing it in a permanent way because you don't want to have to deal with this more than one time in your life.
Right. I'm a homeowner. I agree. If I saw cracks in my ceiling, and I will at certain point of the age of my home, I will be alarmed. So in the industry, what was going on at the time in the industry that made you say there's got to be a better way of doing this?
Well, in 1973, there was a system that was patented called PermaJag, and it involved a heavy steel bracket that fit up under the foundation with a 3-inch pipe that's inserted in the back and driven down to bedrock. And I had never seen anything like that. I actually, in the old way of doing it, we used to have to dig under, pour concrete, jack the house up, put, with regular jacks and that kind of thing. This is a contiguous process. You put the pipe in, the hydraulic cylinder pushes it down. As it pushes it down, it raises up on the bracket like a bumper jack on a car, which you don't have those much anymore because cars don't have bumpers. But the point is, you're pushing down while you're picking up at the same time, one contiguous process. And for us, it was clean. It was very little damage to the landscape. You could dig all the holes by hand, those kind of things. So that appealed to me. And actually, my wife, I'm glad she can't hear this podcast, but when I got the franchise offering, it was in an envelope. We used to get mail in those days, not email.
Yeah.
So we got a mail, and we opened it, and she was standing there, and she said, "I'm going to throw this away." And I said, "Well, what is this?" And I looked at it. I said, "Are you out of your mind? You can't throw that away. That's revolutionary, right?" And so anyway, so here, 25, 30, $40 million later, in sales. If I ever have the opportunity, I bring that up to level the playing field. But she don't let me do it but once a year.
You keep that in your back pocket, right?
Well, yeah, you
Yes.
can understand that, yeah.
Yeah, I can. So that makes sense. I understand how you got to the point where you are, and you started this Strata Jack, this new idea, because it seemed like a good improvement, right? So from a contractor's perspective, what specific problems are your system solving on the job?
Well, most of 70% or better of what we do are residential repairs. Okay, so you have issues with landscaping, grassing, all those kind of things, and you can't have large machines up in the yard, destroying the yard and all that kind of thing. And so the biggest problem was, how do you repair a structural problem with the minimal amount of damage to other things? Because it has to be done. And in the old days, you had to bring backhoes and things like that up in there and dig the holes and all this kind of thing. It was very destructive. Right. So this was clean. It was quick. So I saw that as a problem solver. Now, you have areas in this country, Mississippi is one, which is where I am, and there are other places that have what we call highly expansive clays. And those clays, if you have a certain volume dry and it gets wet, it swells 40% of its volume. So whatever you started with, it's 1.4 times bigger. So what that means is, if you have a foundation sitting on that material while it's dry and it gets wet, the thing starts moving. Or if it's wet when you build it and it dries out, then when it shrinks, it allows the foundation to settle. And so those were the challenges we were up against, is to convince a homeowner that you can come in and fix a serious problem without serious ancillary damage, So that was a big problem. That solved that problem.
Wow, that would really appeal to homeowners, and then contractors it would appeal to them, since the homeowner would like it so much. They could probably save them money too. Yeah. So if I'm a contractor listening to this, I'm thinking that's really great, but there's a lot of different approaches. So how do I know that Strata Jack's the right fit versus something else besides the landscaping?
Well, you'd have to look at the system, but it's a deep system. Most of the repairs we have are in the 20 to 30 foot deep range, and you can't dig holes that deep in a residential area. We don't deal with a lot of contractors. We are a contractor, but we don't deal with a lot of contractors. Occasionally, maybe somebody will build a house and they're responsible for it, and the thing starts settling before it's out of the warranty period. Then it's easy for the contractor, whoever built the house, to call us, because we can go in and out fairly quick with very little damage. Now, overall, as far as contracting goes, the challenge here is, this is a very specialized business. You can't do this. You can't do this ever so often. You've got to do this every day to master the issues with the settlement. And we lift buildings. We lift with this system. That is a challenge to all the other systems, when all they do is stabilize. So the premise on which we sell that is, are you going to spend $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to do a foundation repair where you still have the cracks? It doesn't seem like, you want the cracks closed as much as you can. And so cracks generally are cosmetic, but they're related to the settlement. So we can close. The challenge for that is, with our system, we can put as much as 15 tons on the tip of our pier, which is more than enough to raise most walls, close the cracks, and so forth. So homeowners are pleased with that. If a contractor wants to be in this business, the equipment is very specialized. The cylinders, we manufacture everything that we install in our warehouse, in our plant. So we don't buy very much from anybody else. Yeah. So we manufacture everything that we do. So that is, anybody who's getting in it would be wise to consider that.
Yeah, that's really helpful things to think about. On the flip side, you've probably seen a lot of installs in your day, maybe not your own crew. What's some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen that have happened in the field?
Well, with most systems, not so much ours, but you have to be aware of where all the plumbing is.
Oh,
because when you're
yeah.
pushing this pipe down, if you run into something like that, it'll break it and you'll have to fix it. We have the only system that can go inside.
Oh.
If you've got interior movement, the cylinder that we use is only 61 inches tall. So we can carry it inside. We cover everything with plastic. We break holes on the floor and the inside on the load bearing walls. We put the piers in the same way, raise it, pour the concrete back, and then clean up. That is a challenge because most of these systems, about 95% of them, cannot go inside. They can only do outside repairs. And another 70% of that 90 cannot lift the house. They only drive it and they tell them that it won't move anymore. We happen to offer a lifetime warranty against vertical movement. We're the only people in the whole country that offer that. Now,
Wow.
it's a vertical movement warranty as opposed to a material workmanship warranty. Under material workmanship warranty rules, you have to prove, if you're the homeowner, you have to prove that there was a defect in the material or the workmanship before they will cover it. We at this point are carrying close to 22,000 warranties over the last 40 years with a half
Wow.
of 1% per year callback.
Oh, that's excellent.
It's almost zero, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all
That's
has to do with
awesome.
it all has to do with the system, Jen. You can't, these systems are totally different, and they do
Yeah.
different things. Some can go deep, like us, but nobody can go as deep as we can. And so
Right.
that's what you got to pay attention to are the systems and the attributes of the different systems.
Yeah. Yeah. Good things to think about. So, how about a little story time? Is there anything that you've seen crews do that really has made you cringe over the years? Not your crew, of course. Or maybe your crew.
Well, they're subject to do something like that.
Yeah.
I've seen most of the disasters I've seen is when contractors who are not actually foundation contractors, they go in with this idea about how they need to fix it, and I've actually seen them excavate holes that were so big that the foundation that they were supposed to fix collapses into their hole.
Oh no. Oh my. Woo. Well, maybe you got the call for that job then.
Yeah, I got the call for that one. It was very expensive for them to fix, but
Yeah.
it's highly specialized, and there's just not many of us that really have anything. What I would say would be value added to sell. In our case, we're
Right.
probably the top one, but it's we take one approach to this. Whatever we fix will be fixed for a lifetime, or we don't take the job unless they take our recommendation. We don't take it. We move on to somebody else because if this thing fails, if it fails 5 years or 10 years from now, everybody's going to forget that they paid less money because they were trying to save money. All of a sudden, there my name is on top of it,
Yeah.
and really that's all that matters. And the contractors have to be careful about that because we're building a name, we're building a reputation. We get people that a lot of what we do now is off of referrals only, and so. But anyway, that's a danger. You got to watch what you're selling.
Yeah, that's good advice. I'm sure a lot of contractors can appreciate that their name goes on it. Doesn't matter what else happened, they'll remember their name. So I'm
They
sure
always
I like
remember
your
your name.
point of accept the job that you can do well.
That's
Don't
right.
take the jobs that might not. Yeah.
You don't need that. You don't lose money on jobs you never take.
I
And so
agree.
if you get in there and it's more than you think. One thing that's kind of a downer for most homeowners is a person comes in and says, "I'll do this for $10,000 or whatever," and then they come back later and say, "Oh, I didn't know this," and that is so detestable when somebody does that. If I
Yeah.
if I get a subcontractor to come in and do something for me and they tell me that, I fire them. Because if you didn't know what you were looking at to start with, you should have never taken the project.
Yeah, that's true. Good advice for all across the board, life age, no matter
everything.
your age and any kind of business. But yeah, for sure. Good advice. So, and I think a lot of people can relate to don't take a job that you can't do well. So, zooming out a little bit, a lot of different businesses, contractors, owners, they're listening and they're trying to grow their business. What advice would you give them based on what you've seen on how to grow their business?
Well, obviously, in this day and time, as opposed to when we used to use TV and radio and so forth, everything's on the
Right.
internet now. You have the possibility with the whatever you call it, the nether space out there. When you look at this, you have the possibility of showing in that medium what you're actually doing. Now, the particular project itself, you have to be there to look at that, or a salesperson has to do that. But one of the things you need to do is you need to show why you're different. You need to show the benefits of your system. You have to explain that there's more than one system. The other thing is you have to also explain there's more than one type of warranty and explanation of warranties. People, homeowners and people that you work for, they have no idea what you're doing. They have no idea. They have to go totally on your explanation,
Right.
your graphics, your videos, whatever you're putting out there. They've got to go by that. And what you tell them, as opposed to what you do, have got to end up being the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't. A business will not last. Okay. If you run into something and you try to shortcut it, or you try to do something that's quicker because you think you might lose a few $100 or $1,000 or whatever it may be, there's no longevity to that. We have our peer systems. I think we've got over 50 or 60,000 peers in over all this time. It's a lot of peers.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something quickly. We cover the Atlanta area, okay, is one of our areas. We cover the whole Southeast. But the point is that I had a customer call me a year ago on a project that I did 32 years ago.
Wow.
And they said, did you do this repair? And I said, of course. And we pull the file. Our files are digitized, but I make them keep paper files. I keep paper files. There's no digitized. We have it, but I don't use it. Anyway, I pulled it up and I said, "Yeah, we fixed that." He said, "Back in those days, we had a 5-year extendable warranty. It was a big house. It was a big repair in the early '90s. It was like a $60,000 repair, which is 3 times that now."
Yeah.
So anyway,
Or more.
I said, that's right. And so I said, "Well, yeah, let me take a look at it." And so I took a look at it. It looked the same as the day we left it. And they said, "Well, can we get the lifetime warranty?" I said, "Sure." $3,750 they paid to get the lifetime warranty. And before I left the customer, I said, "Let me ask you a question. How many people that you've ever seen, right, that you ever seen in your life, that you could call 32 years later and say, 'Can you warrant the work you did 32 years ago?'
Right.
And they would write you a warranty."
I can't think of anyone.
He said, "I can't think of a single person." I said, "You just talked to the only person that will do that." So I'm just saying, build value into what you do. Don't, be as unique as you can. Tell the truth. Don't nickel and dime customers. They don't like that. If you make a mistake, just take care of it and absorb it and go about your business. You'll make it up somewhere else based on your good reputation. Just don't do that. And don't send people out who don't know what they're talking about. Now, I'm not saying that people in 40 or 50 year age range don't know anything, but they don't know as much as people in their 60s and 70s.
That's true.
So make sure, no matter what age they are, make sure they're trained. It could be 40, it could be 30. It doesn't matter. Don't go out talking about something you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, when you train your salesmen, don't send them out to sell units. You send them out to sell solutions. Because if I price my work by the number of units, I know what that is. But if I look at that like it's going to take this many for this solution, These other people who go out and just trying to sell the units, they're not going to look at the details of this. They got to look at the material details of it, the longevity of it. Is this a permanent repair? What's going to be involved? Those kind of things. It's just more to it than selling units. And people have to be careful about that. That's one of the greatest downfalls.
That's good advice.
That's solid gold advice there.
Solid gold. That made the whole episode.
There you go.
All right. That's right. So, yeah, that's awesome advice. And, I think a lot of business owners can relate to what you say. And if they want to grow, they need to stick their reputation, build their reputation on rock. No pun intended.
On the rock. Yeah, that's right.
On a good foundation, not on sand, right? Yeah, that's right. So, yeah.
So, anyway,
Bobby, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your experiences, your insight. You're a longtime business owner, and I know people will listen to this and get something valuable out of it. So for anybody listening, and you want to know more about Strata Jack or connect with Bobby, I'm going to put the information down in the show notes so that you can do that. And as always, this is Cracks and Conversations, where we talk about real challenges and real solutions in the foundation repair industry. We'll see you on the next episode.